Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar, The Principles of Roofing. This is a 1-hour CEU course, and I also want to say happy holidays. Snuck up on us quick here. I'm Peggy West. I'm your organizer, and I also own Market Smart Unlimited, and you'll be receiving all of your correspondence from Market Smart. So watch for your emails. I'm really excited today to announce the beginning of a new series called the Stratosphere Series, and it's by Stratus Construction and Roofing. They are going to each month provide us a new CEU course that'll be great for the CAMs. And then all through 2025, we hope to have new and different courses every month. So all roofs are not the same, and today we are going to have Jerry Diamond presenting and Phil Thomas as the moderator from Stratus Construction and Roofing. And they're going to go over all the various types and new information. So first, let's talk about some housekeeping. If you have a question, put it in the Q&A box. If you have a comment, put it in the chat box. And then the sponsors will also be entering their information, their contact information, if you want to jot it down. But you can wait because at the end of the webinar, within a day or so, I'm going to be sending out a sponsor sheet with all of their contact information. CAMs, you are going to receive a 1-hour CEU credit. So please stay on the call for at least 45 minutes because you have to stay on that time or longer. You need to also please allow 10 days to get your credit posted to the DBPR by Stratus. Sometimes there's glitches and so on, so they might go on right away, but just at least give them 10 days. You're also going to be receiving these slides for the course because they're going to be recording that, and also we'll be recording and sending Jerry the questions. If you don't get your question answered, today on the course, he will respond to you. So put your name after your question because on the list of contact information that you entered when you registered, Jerry can find your name, your email, your phone number, however which way you want to get back to them, Jerry, and get back to you and answer your question. So that's basically it. So let's see. That was that. Okay. Since I mentioned the sponsors, let's go on and get introducing the sponsors. And these are the people that invited you to the course today. And I'm going to start right off the bat with the wind beneath my wings. It's the Ventium software people. I'm going to introduce Katie Bassford. She's on here. There's the National Director for Business Development. Katie, tell us about yourself and what does Ventium do?
Thank you so much for that introduction, Peggy. As Peggy mentioned, I am the National Sales Executive at Ventium. So I'm representing our company to clients all across North America. We also help Peggy host these webinars quite frequently as well. Ventium is a 10-year-old company, so we were founded in 2014. So we're celebrating our decade this year. And essentially, we provide websites and software solutions for community management. So this includes HOAs, condos, and property management companies. And we do serve thousands of communities across the country, but we do have 50% of our clients based in Florida. So we follow all of the updates around community associations very, very closely here. And this strong presence really is due to that. We have 100% compliance with those upcoming state legislations. And we do offer features that are fully customizable. So things like public-facing websites, document depositories, e-voting, and many more. So we can help associations overcome common challenges such as inefficient communication and time-consuming manual processes. Our Solution Neighbors is the ultimate all-in-one community management program. So it's designed to improve communication, streamline processes, and enhance transparency. If you are interested in a live demonstration, I would love to get connected. Please feel free to reach out, or if you just have any questions, would love to chat.
Okay, great. That's a great introduction. We also have today on a new face from Ventium. We have the head of business development, Tim Delbrock. Sorry.
Almost
Tim,
there, almost there.
tell us about yourself. What are you doing for the company?
Okay, so just helping you. My name is Tim Delbrook. So it's a bit difficult, but I'm part of Katie's team in the business development, and I'm helping her and all the companies to reach property managers, community associations for us to help them with this best communication software that we have here. So that's my role to help to the company to grow. Hello, everybody.
Excellent. Great. Okay, well, welcome. I also want to make honorable mention, if you just want to wave, she doesn't really like to speak, but we have Beatrice De Silva on. She is IT support and also in marketing. Next, I want to introduce is Dawn Miller. I believe she's on vacation, to be honest with you. Dawn Miller is with the Paving Lady, providing outstanding service in the area of paving projects. Also, they do all the peripheral work that goes with that. So she will be on there if you need an outstanding company for a paving job. These are the people to call. Next, I want to introduce Daniel Baum. He's the founder and CEO of COA Solutions. Daniel, tell us about yourself and what are you doing for condos and HOAs?
Good afternoon, Peggy. Good afternoon, everyone. As Peggy said, my name is Daniel Baum. I own COA Solutions of Florida. Simply put, I specialize in helping communities save money on their commercial property and casualty insurance. I do complimentary reviews of policies, specifically to try to identify either mistakes, or which we find on a regular basis, or a lack of credits that your community might not be receiving. I also like to give guidance and offer advice as to on ways that communities can find savings on property and casualty insurance. If you need anything at all in that respect, please feel free to reach out to me at any time. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful webinar.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, next I want to introduce Jamie Gelfand. She's the Vice President, Regional Sales Officer for Southeast Florida Community Association Banking. Jamie's with First Citizens Bank. Tell us about yourself, Jamie. You've been around a long time. You have some things to tell us.
Thanks, Peggy. Yes, I'm the Regional Sales Officer covering the Tri-County market at First Citizens Bank. Besides lockbox opportunities, we also have two loan opportunities for associations to be able to fund your projects for any of these great business providers on the phone and or for your supporting milestone reports. We have a $3 million quick term loan, which we can approve in 3 days, close in 30, and then your traditional term loan up to 15 years with an up to 24-month interest-only period. So if I can assist you with any banking needs, please give me a call and enjoy the webinar.
Awesome. Okay, great. Sounds like some great rates going on there. Next, I want to introduce the district manager for Benjamin Moore. We have Rudy Forehand on today. Hi, Rudy. Welcome back.
Hey.
Tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank everybody for attending the seminar. I'm with Benjamin Moore Paints. I'm the manufacturer's representative. And what we do, of course, is besides just sell paint, we do more than that. We sell the assistance that you need when doing these big projects on your community, when painting and after restoration, even after roof work. We'll come in and help you with the project and help you manage the project of the painting with the painting. We could help you choose manufacturers. We do on-site inspections. We do color. We do color consultation along with color renderings, and then we do and we work with you as the job is getting done to make sure that the job will get done the way that this contractor signed the contract. And believe it or not, sometimes that doesn't happen. So we work with contractors to make sure that happens, and we work as a team to get everything done. So if you have a project coming up of any kind, any size, from all the way down from Orlando down to Miami, give me a call. I'll put my information in the chat, and we have a team of people that we can work with you, and we'll make sure that the money you spend is used wisely and with the best value. So thank you very much. And if I don't see you all, have a great holiday season. Take care.
Thanks, Rudy. Excellent. Okay, next I want to introduce the president of City Quiet Windows and Doors. He's on. Let's introduce Ben Friedman. Ben, tell us about yourself and what are you doing for the industry?
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you to the other sponsors. My name is Ben Friedman. I am the president and owner of City Quiet Windows and Doors. We provide turnkey white glove installation services for all window, door, storefront, and railing projects. Lots of exciting things in our industry going on with new condo legislation. The My Safe Condo Act is with certain requirements allowing condominium associations to receive funds towards certain types of projects, specifically window and door. So if anybody has any specific questions, I will certainly put my information in the chat. And I hope everybody has a great holiday as well.
Thank you so much. Okay. Next, I want to introduce the Vice President for Faster IO. We have Bob Aleka on today. Bob, tell us about yourself and what's your company doing?
Thanks, Peggy. Well, good afternoon, all. Bob Aleka here, VP of Community Development for Faster IO. We specialize in bringing multi-gigabyte fiber optics to HOAs and condominiums. Well, we design it, install it, manage it. We've been doing it for about 20 years now. Also, we provide streaming TV, which allows you to take the TV with you wherever you live, change your address, your zip code, and you'll get all your channels that you get here, and plus the locals there wherever you live. Like I said, we've been doing this for over 20 years. We handle all the permitting, installation, and residential support. And we specialize in smaller communities, like 20, 30 units. So if you're in a small unit, a condominium, and looking for fiber optics and internet or internet and TV, please give me a call. We'd be more than happy to come out and give you an estimate on what we can do for you guys. Thanks so much. Have a great holiday and enjoy the webinar.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys do a lot. I also want to make honorable mention of his partner in crime, Michael Zirin. He's the marketing manager and he does an awful lot. So please mention that to him, please. I have 3 sponsors that are not on for various different reasons. I'm going to just mention their name, catch the sponsor sheet, and maybe go to their website if you want to see what they're more about. But we have Age of Empire. Daniel LaRosa is the business developer, and the president of his company is Marcel Alonso. Then we have Hafer Company. Hafer is a full-service CPA company, and they have 4 offices all around the state. They give outstanding service, very timely, and you'll enjoy working with either Nicole Johnson, she's a partner and the operations manager, and they also have Mark Landez, he's doing auditing. So if you need a great company for CPA service, reach out to them. And then lastly, I have a new sponsor. I'm kind of disappointed he's not on to introduce himself, but PD Concrete Specialist. We have Daniel Pena, the president. He wanted to be on this particular webinar, so maybe he'll join us later. But again, you can catch them on the sponsor sheet as well as check their webinar out. With that, I'm going to turn this over to the moderator, Phil Thomas of Stratus Construction and Roofing. And Phil, you can introduce today's speaker, Jerry. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Like you mentioned, I'm Philip with Stratus Roofing. With me is going to be Jerry. He's going to be our speaker today. Today, we're going to be covering principles of roofing to get you guys started on our journey of the stratosphere. So I've been with our company about 10 years, or excuse me, I've been in the industry about 10 years, been with our company about 1.5 years. Hoping to answer any of the questions you guys have. I'm hoping that you guys want to be involved in this presentation. If you guys have anything, like Dominic already kind of asked a question that I'd like to go down a little later in the presentation. But please, if you guys ask questions, we can give you the information you need. This is the first of a few courses we're going to give. So we can dive deep into any of these conversations during those courses as well. But if you guys have something specific, it always helps to kind of keep this moving and keep everyone involved. So with that, I'm going to introduce Jerry, and he can kind of tell you a little bit about himself.
All right. Thank you, Phil. Well, my name is Jerry Diamond. I'm with Stratus Construction and Roofing. Our specialty is doing these classes. Our goal is to educate everybody that's on these forums for the Stratosphere series. So basically, we just want to keep this lighthearted. I want to make sure everybody is able to get their questions answered. You're all going to get a copy of the slideshows. There's approximately 23 slides. But since you're going to have those, if you have any important questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and then we'll do our best to answer them in a timely frame. With that, let's get rolling.
Guys got my screen? Presentation's up.
All right. So as Phil discussed earlier, today we're going to discuss the principles of roofing. Do the next slide. So who are we? Stratus Construction, we're a general contractor and roofing company. We've been doing this for over 30 years, and we typically like to go about all of our business and educating all the clients, no matter if they're multifamily owners, condo associations, or just the single residential. We hold a GC license. We also are certified as a Master Elite certified contractor. We handle thermal drone inspections, and pretty much anything that you need to do as far as a roof or construction project, we'll be able to handle for you. So in Florida, as everybody knows, Florida is a bit of a beast when it comes to roofing. So roofing in Florida is a little more in depth than in some of the other 50 states. So nearly 30%, 37% of the roofs are in critical condition after they reach about 5 years old. Strictly just because of our demographic and our weather. Humidity, UV rays, deterioration happens a lot quicker here than it does anywhere else. So it's vitally important that we understand how to get the most out of which roofing product you're looking at getting installed for your associations. So in this overall, we're gonna discuss the basically where we go from a national point of view, which I just kind of spoke about, and then to the lifespans of where Florida stands. So Florida's lifespans, typically because of the UV rays, they're about 36.8% of communities and commercial properties and home have 5 or less years remaining of useful life. With that being said, with the term of a roof is not only determined by the deterioration through weather, hurricanes, wind, uplift, etc. The more important beast currently for all topics is the insurance companies. Insurance companies will dictate, and think about that when I say that for a second. The insurance companies will dictate when you're going to need a new roof. So with that being said, when you go to get a new roof for your association, you really need to take in consideration the amount of money, the age of the current roof that you have, and then what the insurance company could predict when you're going to have to be required to replace that roof. Otherwise, they won't re-up you for reinsurance. So the basic fundamentals requires for a roof is strength and stability, resistance to weather and heat, durability at the end of maintenance. So fire safety, security, and aesthetics. Those are your top 6 main things to think about when you're looking at a roof. All right, types of roofing systems. We'll go into, and if anybody has any questions while we're going through this, or if you have a specific roof that you're having issues with now, please don't hesitate to cue into Phil, and we'll try to get those questions answered for you. But the most common roof would be the asphalt shingle. Within that, you want to take into effect the cost, the weight of it, the aesthetics of it, the maintenance, and the warranties. So with asphalt, that's probably the most popular roofing product, and throughout the U.S. for multifamilies, for single families, everything. So asphalt roofing is not going anywhere. However, when I speak of some of these roofs, we're going to talk about asphalt roofs. We're going to talk about tile, concrete and clay tile roofs. Those roofs are water shedding roofs. That means they're made for steeper slopes, anything, 412, 512 over, and it sheds the water. Some of the other roofs that we can talk about that are more watertight are going to be any of the metal roofs or commercial flat roofs. So those are some phrases that I want you to think about during this. So when we go into water shedding versus watertight, you're going to think about on a water shedding roof, what are the factors? The integrity of that roof for water shedding roof is basically going to be the underlayment. That's going to be the full integrity of that roof. The warranties per manufacturer will give specifics about wind uplift and how those warranties will be able to be taken care of. For shingles, as I mentioned, it's the most popular roof out there. It's popular because it's affordable. It's pretty much low maintenance. They're easy to find. Everybody has them, whether it's through a distributor, whether it's through a big box store. It works almost in all climates and comes in a variety of colors. It does have a little green factor to it because I think the manufacturers are getting better at recycling them. Tear-offs, a lot of people are taking them to recycle places where they can use them for asphalt potholes, etc. The cons, we're in Florida, so it's going to fade. That's going to happen with no matter what type of roof you put on in Florida. So think about the UV deterioration. 3-tab roofs versus the architectural style roofs, those are a little more prone to blow off, and typically there's a shorter lifespan. The insurance company right now, we're seeing people call after they've had roofs put on a year ago, and their insurance companies are coming in and they're saying, hey, you know what, within the next 7 years, we're anticipating you're going to need a new roof. So these are things to think about when you're getting a roof and what warranty you're signing up for. And we'll cover that topic a little bit on a few more slides later. Next slide. All right. So metal roofs, low maintenance, they're durable. They can mimic a variety of different products, whether it's slate, asphalt, wood. They come in a lot of different colors, and they're lightweight. The cons, some people say they need soundproofing. They've come a long way with, I don't think that's really a topic any longer. Depending on how it's installed, you can have it on a batten system, which gives you dead air space in between. Also provides the sound deadening and also a slight R factor. When it mentions warp and may develop ripples, that's a product. That's part of an install called oil canning. So if the clips, if it's installed incorrectly, too tight, you can get a little bit of an area where it looks like it's just like wavy or bent. That's what's called oil canning. And then most importantly, just with any roof, doesn't matter, metal, shingle, flat, everything requires an expert licensed contractor in order to install and repair. Those are critical things to think about. And with that being said, I can kind of show you, there's an example of, this is a lightweight style roof. So a lot of companies are moving to this because it can actually be more of a watertight system versus the much heavier concrete style roof. So when you're looking at this, you're looking at a difference of 850 pounds per square. A square is a 10 by 10 area, versus on the lighter style roof, you're looking at about 150 pounds per square. So some other things to think about.
Couple of questions slide in during this slide.
Yeah.
First one being from Jackie, do we address mansard roofs that are looks only? Really, for Jackie, what I would tell you is we would have to kind of come out and take a look at that, especially if it's a aesthetic only mansard. We'd want to come take a look and see what you're really dealing with and what you'd have to replace it with, and if you'd really need it to be metal or some other style of something to go on top of that. But that one is kind of specific and kind of a one-off thing that we would probably want to come take a look at and address specifically. Second question was from Ruslan. Notice that most of these are steep slope roofs, which you addressed earlier. We she particularly has a flat TPO roof. We'll be getting to that in just a little bit. So we will address some of that in just a little bit with the flat roofing side of things, and the different types of roofs that can go on to that style. And so we will get to that in just a little bit. Okay. And then the next question, Lisa had a third question. Our insurance company stated that only a double strap roof would help us insurance wise. Is that really the case? So on that front, I mean, the hurricane strapping in the attic is extremely important for any steep slope roof. The trusses being strapped to the structure of the home. The double strapping, I mean, that's pretty specific to that insurance company, would be my opinion, but that's an opinion to me.
Yeah, and you're right, Phil. That would be specific to that insurance company. More importantly, to follow the letter of the law is whatever your local municipality codes and regulations are. That would be the golden standard, and you would only be able to find that out through your local building department. Everybody likes to try to, all manufacturers of roofing and installers try to go by the gold standard, which is a Miami-Dade installation technique, whether it's for tile, shingle, whatever. But each municipality has their own recommendations for wind uplift or wind mitigation. All right, next slide.
Sorry, Jacqueline. How does it work for solar panels? And sorry, Jacqueline, can you expand on that? I don't quite understand the question for how does it work for solar panels? And then we'll let Jerry keep going for a little bit.
Okay. So tile. I just gave you a small example of a concrete tile. Those are weighing at about 850 plus pounds per square. And in roofing terminology, a square is 1 10-foot by 10-foot area on a roof. The pros are their weather resistance. They help reduce energy costs, require minimal maintenance. We'll come back and circle around to that because there are some more maintenance issues with concrete tile roofs than there are some other tile roofs, and we'll get into that in a little bit. They virtually do last a decent long time if they're not walked on. Pest resistant, environmentally friendly, and there's a lot of different options, colors, different palettes that you can order through. As I mentioned before, the cons: heavy material. It can be expensive. Once again, everything should be a precise install, which is critical. But over time, it can be brittle, and it's a porous product. So a porous product, when you guys are looking at getting a new concrete tile roof, make sure that you factor in whatever your HOA regulations might be for keeping that roof clean, meaning not algae filled. Since it is a porous product, algae can, live in those live areas. So that's something to keep in mind, whatever your pain points might be for getting a new roof. All right, next slide. All right, so for the flat roofs, I know we've had a couple questions about the flat roofs. So flat roofs, I mentioned that those are designed to be a watertight system. They will have to be watertight because there's zero pitch to them. In most areas, you have to have a slope of a 1/4 inch per foot, and that's typically either done architecturally. When the building is built, it already has that slope to it. It can slope to either side, front, back sides, and that water will drain off into what's called scuppers. A scupper is a circular or rectangular or square hole that surrounds the building that water would run off and escape the flat area. Otherwise, we'd have a tapered system on there. A tapered system can be done in ISO, which is basically a foam type product that's cut specifically to the design of the roof to divert water to go into the drains so that you don't have any standing water. Standing code for Florida is you can't have any standing water on a flat roof 48 hours after a storm. If you do have standing water on a roof after that, you need to make sure to get that checked out. Standing water on a roof, ponding water, it can help deteriorate your roof a lot faster. So the pros: affordability, low maintenance, easy installation, good durability, and it has a unique aesthetic. The cons: the appearance. You know, if you put on a TPO white roof, if it's not kept clean, it's no longer going to be UV reflective. So you're not going to get those perks of having having lower energy bills. The drainage we just spoke about, and the insulation. The insulation factor on a flat roof, that will determine, you know, how the water is drained and how the heat would either penetrate or not escape your roof. Do we have any questions on the flat roof section, Phil?
Just if we had any recommendations on the TPO, as they had a project coming up, Rosslyn does, but again, we can kind of directly address you afterwards as well if you want some more specific information on just that style of roof.
Okay. So in flat roofs, there's a variety of styles. So TPO is a rolled membrane roof that goes out and it has different millages. So a millage is how thick that material is. So if it's 45 mil, it's going to be yay thick. If it's 60 mil, it's going to be thicker, and then 80 mil will be thicker. Not like this. So I can't show millage on the screen, but that's how we're working. Then you also have a PVC. So a PVC membrane, those are used for also commercial roofs, and they come in a variety of mills. PVCs are typically more used for places that have exhaust fans where animal fats are exhausted out onto a building, like a steakhouse or a Burger King, something like that, because the chemical makeup of the fat will not deteriorate the roof membrane. And then you're looking at the old-fashioned modified bitumen. Those are just rolled asphalt roofs that can be torched on, or with the new technology today, they can be peel and stick self-adhered with a base and a cap. And if you're looking for a bigger warranty, you can have a mid-ply, and then it can go up from there. So if there's no other questions on flat roofs, we move on to the next.
Just last one from Richard just came in. Is there a recommended way to remove mildew from a TPO flat roof?
One of two ways, and Phil, chime in if you think there's a better way, but typically just a light wash on a roof. That's the best, that would be the best way, whether they use an algicide or you can use a home remedy of like white vinegar and something like that. But that's typically just a wipe clean type scenario on a flat roof is my recommendation.
Yeah, soft wash type scenario on a TPO, especially if it's relatively new. The older it gets, the more careful you have to be in cleaning.
Yep.
So let's see. Just kind of have to take it back to Jacqueline's question and the insurance for the solar panels. So Jacqueline's elaborated a little bit. Does how they are attached to your metal roof change how your insurance would be, I guess, written? So the solar panels are always attached to the trusses of a pitched roof. That's the structure of the building. That's how they have to maintain the weight and separate it from the roofing structure. So typically there's going to be a hole in the roof and then a wrap around that hole of some sort, and or they're going to go through the plywood to get to the stud or to get to the truss. So without leaks is the prime thing to think about when you're doing solar work. It's very, very hard to accomplish that. That's why they typically put sealant over the top of all solar things when they attach them to the roofs. So I don't think it would affect the insurance. The insurance might exclude that portion of the roof because it has other things on it. There might need to be a specific policy for the solar panels separate from the roofing structure. So I would really get with more of an insurance professional on that and how that specific thing would affect your insurance. Anything you'd think on that, Jerry?
No, I think you've pretty much hit on all the top features, Phil. That, you know, solar, just like with any roof, the least amount of penetrations you can put in a roof, the more stable and reliable your roof is going to be. So if you have to add solar because you're going to get the credits from the state, or you're just trying to reduce your bills, absolutely. If it's free money, go after it. But always keep in mind the least amount of penetrations that you can put in a roof, the longer that roof life is going to be. And the only other thing that I would add is just circle back around to whatever your local municipality installation requirements are for solar panels. And whoever did your solar install, they should have specifics also, especially to make sure that it meets their warranty.
Slide.
All right. So here we're going to go through just real quick. I mean, these are the ABCs of what a roofing consists of. You can see that there's a part of a roof here. We've got the roof decking, the underlayment, the fascia, the eaves, and the soffit. Is everybody familiar with the basic terminology and what a roof is? And maybe we can just start with any questions on identifying that first. So, and if there aren't any questions, I think it's real self-explanatory. You guys have all these slides. You can go after, look at it after the show, and you come up with any questions, shoot us an email. So, all right, we can go to the next
Also,
one.
just want to drop in real quick that we do have an entire course just on flat roofs. So if you guys have more specific, deeper needs on that, come back to our full course on flat roofs just for that. So,
All right. Great point, Phil. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Major components of a roof and how they protect. So a valley. The valley is going to divert water away from the roof when two sections meet up. The ridge is typically the top portion of a roof where you would have ridge cap or ridge venting. Ridge venting is really popular under shingle roofs and a lot of metal roofs nowadays because you can efficiently run a perforated ridge across the top, and then under the eaves that will help disperse the heat through the attic so that you don't get inaccurate ventilation. The gutters, downspouts, and then we already talked about the ventilation. Roofing industry concerns. All right, this will be a fun one. So after all these hurricanes that we've had past years and also this year, which was quite eventful, biggest thing that's going on is, out-of-state contractors. Make sure that you're dealing with a company that's been around, that has a Clean Better Business Bureau. Even look at their Dun & Bradstreet. Make sure that they're, whoever the license holder is actually the license holder. There's a lot of loopholes with out-of-state contractors that can try to get your business, and you just have to be diligent on who you're choosing. Unfortunately, there are some unethical contractors. The door-to-door solicitations, they're trying to inflate certain claims. They're also trying to say, hey, we can do your roof and only for just your deductible, or you won't have to pay your deductible. Anytime you hear anything about your deductible, it's red flag, insurance fraud all over it. So try not to buy into the quick used car sales pitch on this is how we can get your roof, this is how we can save you money by saving you a deductible. It doesn't always work that simple. There's a lot of gray area. Misrepresenting damages. If they're trying to get something signed, they may get up there. Phil, you and I have both heard stories. I mean, people have ball peen hammers. They'll make a little dent in order to get the roof bought. Because under the insurance claim, under the insurance claims, you have to have so much damage within a certain per square area. Usually it's 25% or more that will require the roof to be replaced by the insurance company. So that's typically what you're looking for. Submitting fraudulent invoices to the insurance company, obviously insurance fraud. All this stuff is causing a lot of discomfort within the insurance companies. There's a crisis with the insurance companies right now in Florida. There's a lot of companies that are even pulling out of Florida. So you just have to really make sure that you have an assigned person who's knowledgeable on what your policy is, what your policy will cover, And you just can't take anybody's word saying, we're going to get this taken care of for you. And don't ever let them lie to you and say they're going to get your deductible taken care of, because that's virtually impossible without having insurance fraud. I think that pretty much is everything we can say about insurance currently with the state of what's going on in Florida. Does anybody have any questions or an example of something you're personally going through? So we'll have Phil check it out. And Phil, if there's no questions
Yeah, I
on
was
this.
looking through. It just looked like I missed a flat roof question.
Okay.
From Roger about lightweight concrete.
Yeah.
What about lightweight concrete roofs? I'm guessing you're just meaning what is that for? Lightweight concrete typically would take the place of the tapered insulation that Jerry was talking about earlier. It typically is going to go over either a steel deck or a concrete deck to create the slope if the slope wasn't built into the building's architecture. So lightweight concrete, if it's damaged, it can be kind of a pain to get fixed because there's not too many of those guys around anymore. But typically these days that has been replaced with insulation. So hopefully that answers your question, Roger. Next slide.
All right, it's a fun topic here. So roofing industry concerns, warranty versus insurance claim. Know what steps you have to take in order to honor your warranty through the manufacturer and the roofer that you hired to do the roof. You always want to make sure to get a licensed roofer to do your inspection. Typically, those should be free. A lot of times right after a storm, they're not necessarily free just because the time and the amount of, it should be a minimal charge, 40 or 50 bucks, usually is the typical if they have to do one, just because everybody is running around pulling their hair out after a storm. Know what your warranty covers and what is in it for your property policy. If there's reserves versus warranty, unlimited wind warranty or manufacturer warranty for materials and labor. Now, we recently had a consultant group on a while ago, and we want to make sure there's a difference between warranty and what the insurance company will claim. I mentioned earlier on in this presentation, the insurance company will dictate what's handled and how it's handled by what they have to do to make sure they insure your property. With that being said, one thing everybody needs to realize, and maybe GAF will kind of kick me in the teeth right now, but I just have to be honest. Whenever there's a named storm, just remember this. Whenever there's a named storm, it doesn't matter what your warranty reads, that warranty will be void. Period. All right? Phil?
There's a caveat with GAF. They have the unlimited wind warranty that named storms don't affect, but that's like the only one. So
there you go. Especially on larger commercial, especially flat roofs. That's, it's the fine print that I want everybody on. If you don't get one thing out of this whole deal, just please remember that what you're going to be sold to try to sign up with a contractor, make sure that you're not stuck in the cloud saying, hey, you know what? I just got a 30-year roof. I've got a warranty. They're going to stand behind it for 20 years, et cetera, and you feel all warm and fuzzy. And there's a lot of older clientele that are running these HOAs and on the board. And they're going to be like, you know what? I did my HOA or my property management a service because this is the last roof they're ever going to have to put on. It's all warm and fuzzy and it's nice. But if there's a named storm, the vast majority of those concerns will be thrown out the window. So you want to make sure some minimal things. You want to make sure that some of the labor and materials are covered on flat roofs, at least for workmanship. Insurance claims not going to cover anything with a named storm. So there are certain things that we can help you walk through. We do this all the time. We've been doing it for 30 plus years. So just keep that in mind when you're getting the warm and fuzzies about signing on a new deal and you now think you have a 30 or 50-year warranty roof. Okay? Any questions about that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would just add that, excuse me, there is one. Please explain the yearly roofing warranty is their costs. So, yearly roofing warranty. So typically when you put on the roof, you're going to get an amount of years of a warranty. 15, 10, 15, 20, up to 30. I've seen all kinds of numbers on that. So typically they're going to have things that you have to do to make sure that that warranty stays good, like maintain the building, keep all the drains clean, you know, things like that. Just make sure you upkeep make sure it's inspected once a year. The cost to that is typically going to be built into your roofing cost unless you want it as a separate line item. Typically, if the roofer is going to be offering you this warranty, it's going to be built into your cost. It's not typically going to be another line item unless you really request it to be its own line item. But yes, there are costs. It's usually based on the size of the building, and or how many squares of materials getting put onto the building. And last thing I would want to kind of teach about warranties is there's really 3 styles of warranty that most manufacturers have. There's a material only warranty, which in the easiest sense of terms is this piece of material is the piece of material that I told you I was selling you. A shingle is a shingle. Is this a shingle? Yes, it's a shingle. Okay. Is the shingle bad? Yes. Okay, I'll replace the shingle. That's it. If it's a labor materials warranty, middle of the road type warranty, you're going to get the shingle to be replaced, and then they'll pay for the guys to come do the install. But they're not going to pay for the tear off and the dumpsters and the permitting and any of that other stuff that's going to go along with replacing the roof again. Lastly, and the most important one, which is the gold pledge, which is up there, or the highest level, the no dollar limit type thing. This is where labor, material, workmanship, no matter what's wrong with the roof, the manufacturer will cover the claim. So which style of warranty is being offered to you is also very, very important. So just to kind of wrap that all together. Hopefully that answers your question, John. Jerry, anything on that?
No, great job, Phil. I appreciate the help.
Yeah. Go to the next slide.
So roofing industry concerns, repair versus replace. You know, if we're talking about insurance, that's always going to be a finite battle. So I mentioned a 25% rule earlier. How much damage is done in a 10 by 10 area, 1 square area? That's going to be on your adjuster and whoever the roofer is that you hire to help you get through that mitigation. Make sure there again, use a trusted licensed roofers and know what your warranty covers and what's in it for your property policy. If you guys haven't had any claims and your roof was the original roof that was on there, you might even, before the hurricanes hit earlier in the year, you might have got a notice saying, hey, if you guys don't get a new roof, we're not going to re-up your insurance. Then a hurricane hits and now they're saying that they don't want to replace it, even though they wanted you to replace it before the hurricane hit. Those are topics that you need to speak with your licensed roofing contractor who has some insurance experience and some people on staff that can help you, mitigate those losses.
Oh, next.
So how to vet a qualified roofing contractor? I can't express enough. Just do your research. I think everybody from years ago, a decade or so ago, when Charlie came through, on the West Coast, everybody got it into everybody's head that you needed at least 3 quotes. And since they've done that, everything was great. People start talking about making sure that, they have a local number. They're not seeing, Texas plates and New Orleans plates and everybody that comes to your door. Now there's nothing wrong with some of those people, but, occasionally they could bring somebody in who just started a new job that doesn't have a local plate yet. But those are little things to think about. How long have they been in business? Can you talk to one of their customers? It's always good to show, a pamphlet and and pictures but people are savvy and there's AI out there now, and you could say all these roofs in my brochures were our roofs, but they may or may not be. So do you have your own re-roofing team or do you use subcontractors or another company or individuals? Either way that goes, there's not a bad way to look at either one of those concepts. You know what? Sometimes, companies have subs, sometimes company have their own roofing contractors. It all depends on the size of the roofing company and where they're doing a lot of their work in order to handle their coverage. Also, can you actually see their Florida roofing license? You can look that up. You can do a quick, I think it's SunBiz, you can check it out. But also be aware, there are some companies out there that don't have their own roofing license and they try to work under somebody else's roofing license. And which there's nothing wrong with that. It is legal. One licensed roofer can qualify up to 4 additional roofers, I think. But that one licensed roofer is the one that's in charge of following up and making sure everything's done to the book of the law. So those are the top things to look out for. So we've all seen these. Roofing has its pros and cons. Roofing is a multi-billion-dollar industry. The owner of roofing companies nowadays, they're CEOs of a multi-million-dollar corporation. They're not just your one-stop chuck in a truck, cruising around with their dog and not worrying about getting inspected or anything else like that. So don't always judge a book by its cover. But I think if you follow the rules that we just kind of laid out, just doing your research, getting a couple multiple bids, know what your association's pain points are. If it's maintenance, if you want something that's lower maintenance, that you've gone from a shingle roof or a tile roof, you're looking for something lower maintenance, pick out a metal roof or pick out an architectural metal roof. Those are just runaways that I want you to think about.
What does your job look like?
So roof in progress, always an inspection. And the great thing about Florida, I don't know about you guys, I was raised in the Midwest, St. Louis boy. When I came to Florida, this was a whole new construction model for me. And a lot of these laws were laid out from past hurricanes. Hurricane Andrew started a lot of the processes in the procedures. So inspections, there's a pre-inspection, there's an in-progress inspection, there's a final inspection. Florida is great about doing the inspections. So that's a great thing about living in Florida. If you're just right outside in Georgia, they don't do inspections, they don't do licensing. There's none of that stuff going on. So it's a crapshoot, literally. Step 2 is contract. Pick the materials that you think are going to best fit whatever your roofs or association roofs might be. Remove all the old materials. Look at how the insulation's doing. There again, you can check with that roofing company and you can look into their Better Business Bureau. You can look at their OSHA files. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. You want to make sure to hire a roofer that's going to follow the label of the law and keep OSHA standards on your property. Those are, I can't express that enough either. All roofs are done in layers. So you have to think about the decking, the base, the mid, and then the top. And then the cleanup is essential. I tell everybody this every day, all day. We're going to do open heart surgery on your property. We are the doctors, we are the professionals. However, by the time it's over, you're going to be able to run a mile within 2 weeks, and we're going to have everything cleaned up. So during the process, there's a million things that could happen. So I'd like to set the expectations of stuff is going to happen no matter what. And if you go into it that way, and if you go into the communications with your residents that stuff is going to happen, you won't have Mr. and Mrs. Jones or Grandma Tedis thinking, oh, there's a nail out here, this or that. This will all get taken care of. We can't over communicate enough when we're doing stuff for multifamilies. But just rest assured, it's going to be open heart surgery. Stuff is going to happen. But by the time we leave, it'll be all brought back to whole and you'll be happy. And then obviously the final is the payment. And always with a final payment, a lot of companies, I don't recommend taking more, ever paying more than half down. Usually it's a third, and a third. But always after your final payment, request a lien release. That shows that that roofing contractor is paying his bills and that you're not going to have any liens filed against your property for a roofer that just decided to go to the Bahamas. And with that, I think we're about.
We got maintenance, just maintenance, and then we're home free.
All right. So maintenance issues. Philip was kind enough to mention, what you have to do on a flat roof and soft wash on a flat roof, TPO roof, PVC, etc. Depending on the roof substrate, if it's a granulated roof, you really don't want to break out a pressure washer because it's going to deteriorate the granules, which will, the granules are based on a roof for UV protection. So if you take a power washer at mega PSI, you're going to strip that roof down. So a soft wash, which is just basically, people have done, basically just a drip wash of an algicide. You can do that. If it's a metal roof, you can use a softer wash too, but nothing high PSI. If you don't keep your roof, know what your warranties are on those roofs. If you don't keep them clean, if you don't keep the drains clean, if you don't do some of the stuff that is specifically asked you to do, that warranty will be null and void. So there is a process that you guys need to make sure that you follow. A big mistake that we always see is that people who allow foot traffic on a roof from the roofers that didn't install the roof or other trades that are up there. A lot of times you have to organize and you have to keep a checklist of the authorized people that are allowed on that roof. That's a real important issue to make sure that you keep track of. And that way, if there's any damages on whoever left the roof last. So we had an incident not too long ago where somebody was working on an HVAC unit up there and they had to solder a new copper pipe. Well, that solder, dripped off and it burned a hole through that little spot. Keep in mind, that's just a pinhole. But there was a record that company had of who was last on the roof, and then we could tie everything together. So it's real important. And then obviously debris removal. Keep your drains clean. Keep, if you're in shaded areas, keep pine needles, leaves, stuff like that off the roofs, because that will just sit on there and help deteriorate the whole roof membrane. Preserve roofs, this is basically, I kind of just jumped ahead on this because it is so important to me. Just don't let anybody walk on it, especially like concrete tile roofs. They crack with every footstep. That's a downside to using a concrete or a clay tile. And it can affect the warranty. You can void it right then and there. And it can also the overall life expectancy of the roof. I already mentioned, about other people allowed on the roof to service the ACs and plumbing, ACs, roof drains, whatever it may be. Know who's going on your roof. Know that they're qualified to walk on your roof. And if you do have a flat roof, make sure that you order enough walk pads around those specific areas, from a roof hatch all the way over to the areas that you think might have to be serviced on a regular basis. Those walk pads, they cost a little extra, but it will save you a ton of money down the road. That way people can just stay on the yellow walk pad to and fro, and you won't have to worry about anything else going on the field membrane of that roof. So a lot of companies that you can sign up for, you can get annual roof assessments, professional roof cleaning, debris removal, and gutter cleaning. Not all companies sell you maintenance programs, but you should at least ask if it can be handled. And pardon me. And then that way you're covered.
Sorry. But no, that's
Any
it.
questions?
Get them all. What's my Q&A box? Nope, we look like we're good.
All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming in. Stay tuned for our next exciting series through the stratosphere. We're happy to have this with Peggy, and we look forward to the next class. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. That's a lot of good information, and I appreciate your professionalism, Jerry and Philip, too, breaking it all down because it's a lot. And with the roofs right now, with the hurricanes, we might even have to do this one again.
No worries.
Yes, and so we're all excited, like you said, about doing the series. Every month, we're going to have about the same time every month. We're going to continue to have new classes and so on. I do want to mention a couple of the upcoming classes that we've got. Next Monday, December 9th, if you have not gotten your board training, certification training, it's a 4-hour training class from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's going to be put on by attorney Jane Bolin out of the Fort Lauderdale area, but it's good for everyone. Following the class, she will do a official certification and send it to you, and that way you can hold on to it for, you know, the next 2 years. And on the 18th of December, I have a new class that just came on yesterday. Everything you want to know about elevators being put on by Clarkson and Varick. That will be from 12 to 1:30. And then just to mention, there is a huge cooperator show. It's a trade show for condos, HOAs at the Fort Lauderdale Convention Center. And that is next Wednesday on the 12th. So you got a couple things here. Past that, we have not established the dates for the series, but we'll get that to you early in January, and we'll get that up and running. And I truly appreciate and thank all of the sponsors and all of the board members and property managers for getting on to the class today. Happy holidays.
Yep. Happy holidays. Thanks again. I appreciate everybody. Thanks,
Okay,
Phil.
thank you.